follow the money.
That's what I always say. You always follow the money.
Yeah.
This is Follow the Money with Mitch Moss and Paulie Howard on VSiN.
Here we go. It is Follow the Money on VSiN, the sports betting network. Mitch Moss along with Paulie Howard. We're live in downtown Las Vegas from the Circa Resort and Casino. Busy program lined up today. Nick Bogdanovich coming up in 30 minutes. Long-time Vegas odds maker. We'll get his thoughts on conference title game weekend in college football. Paul Stone, his best bets coming up in 90. Derek Stevens, so much to get into with him, the owner, CEO of this great property, especially the Survivor Gobblegeddon that we had last weekend in the National Football League. We have plenty of college football on tap today as well. We'll have look-ahead numbers to week number 15 of the National Football League, our best bets, and we'll take you inside our pizzeria coming up a little bit later on as well. Paulie, last night, Patriots got it done. Good job by you. You were all over them yesterday. I like the Giants. I will say this, and look, I will preface this by telling you that I'm not whining. I'm not complaining. I'm about to lay out a couple of things that happened to go against the Giants in this game, and I still don't think they would have covered. The Kyle Williams touchdown was not a touchdown. How about Koo's divot kick that he had? I've never seen that. Nobody, I think, has ever seen that in the history of the league.
Yeah.
And then the helmet-to-helmet on the kickoff return. And then they go to the rules judge. I don't even know the guy's name. Is it Sterator?
No, not on ESPN. No, it was John Fellow.
Okay.
Yeah,
and he says that you can do that on a kickoff return to the returner. What are we doing here?
He's a runner.
He's a heat-seeking missile. The defender was there, blasts him right in the head. The guy's knocked out unconscious. Ball goes flying. But despite all that going against me, I still don't think the Giants were going to cover the game last night. And they had the ball down 30-15, and it was like, okay, if they score here, what are they going to do? Are they going to go for two? Because we just went through that whole thing with Philadelphia and Chicago on Black Friday.
They did the right thing. Greg Olsen nailed it. You need to know what you need at that point, because then if you wait and then you fail, you're still down two and there's no time and you lose. So that is, to back up a second, yes. That would be fascinating to watch, but horrible performance all around. Bad special teams. May was great, carved them up, no problem. Again, as I tweeted, Stevenson has pictures of Vrabel in compromising positions. I just can't understand it. Henderson gets a couple touches, has 60 yards. The other thing, I'm glad Dart said what he said after the game and not before, because he would have cost me big time. That there weren't the design runs there, but he's still taking off and going to run. This isn't soccer. And watch my tape going back to high school, I'm aggressive. So he's going to continue to run, but there wasn't design stuff that Daboll did, opposed to Kafka in there as well. Yeah. He cannot be plus 220 to an offensive rookie of the year. He's played 8 games. He's played well in 3 of them. Mm-hmm. This is outrageous, the odds for this guy to an offensive rookie of the year, and then he's ahead of Ibuka. That's ridiculous. They're going to win 2 or 3 games.
How would you make it then in that market? Would you have McMillan around even money where he is right now? Would you have Tyler Warren for the Colts a little bit shorter than what he is, around 6-1?
Yes. Henderson should be lower too. This is
well again.
If Henderson would get all the carries, he'd win this walking away.
Yeah.
I don't know what they're doing with Stevenson's, but in any event, it's going to be wild to see how this plays out. But Dart cannot win this award.
Paul, I think the number is absolutely laughable at this point.
Yeah, plus 220 in some spots. Come on.
So the best advice right now is to absolutely not bet that. At that number, no way you can bet Jackson Dart right now, based on exactly what Paulie just said. There's also this with the Patriots. May is now minus 150 to win the MVP. That's the highest number, or I guess the shortest number that I saw on him, odds on to win. Stafford is plus 120. This is going to flip, though, this week because they have a bye week, and Stafford's going to go scorched earth against a bad Arizona team.
Yeah, correct. This is bizarre what's going on here. I think
that
it also moved when Stafford, the guy was on a 28-to-rip touchdown INT ratio and set a record. Wins against current playoff teams. Stafford 6, May and the Patriots 2. Mm-hmm. So he's got the Seattle game coming up. He's got the Lions coming up. He should be the favorite. He should be at least $2, in my opinion, the year he's had and the resume that he's had. Now, do the Patriots go 15-2?
Maybe.
Matt Humans is right. That Buffalo game's going to be huge coming out of the bye. And they also go to Baltimore. But if Stafford can get the 13 wins with that resume and all those playoff teams that he's going against, and his incredible numbers, to me, he's got to win it.
Yeah. Again, still difficult teams coming up for the Rams as well, including that Thursday night game against the Seahawks. That might not go well for him in that game. It didn't the first time they played. He didn't do a lot.
But he moved, though.
Yeah, I know.
It's all
right.
about wins.
That's exactly. It is all about wins. So if you're like me, and I've talked about this since October, and our buddy Chris Massero put me on this, grab Drake May at 95-1 to win the MVP. I think if anybody wants to hedge on that ticket, now is the week to do it, because I believe, again, after week 14 is all said and done, Stafford's going to be odds on again, and then May's going to be plus money. And if you're ever going to hedge, I got to find a book that'll take a decent bet on that, because 95-1, that adds up quickly.
Yeah.
So if I want to get that on Stafford, I think this is the time to do it. Also, Vrabel's minus 250. I hope he gets dinged, by the way, in this market. And I'm saying that because I have Ben Johnson. Ding him, please, for not getting Henderson the ball more. That's a red flag. What are you doing here? He's clearly the best running back on the team.
I don't get it.
My God. They are 10-1 to win the Super Bowl, tied for the 5th lowest number with Philadelphia at DraftKings. They're the short shot at DK to win the AFC, and they're minus 110 to get the 1 seed, Paulie. I think about this for a second.
Yeah.
Patriots fans, I'm not going to be mean. I was about to be mean. I'm not going to take it back. I'm not going to be mean.
The run they had?
They had a 20-year run with Brady and Belichick. And then, they went into the tank for, 3 years? And now you are minus 110 to get the 1 seed, and you have the odds-on favorite to win the MVP? That's outrageous, man. But good for you. They absolutely drafted the right quarterback. It's working out anyway, results-based. I can say that at this point. They good pick with him a couple years ago.
Well, unfortunately, it was a blowout. Full marks. They were ready to go, looking forward to their bye. Vrabel's an excellent coach. Hello, Tennessee Titans. Hello, Atlanta Falcons. Why didn't you hire him? Good luck with Raheem Morris. Great job by New England. 1 seed right there. You ready for tonight? You ready to get pissed off? Huh?
No, you know what? I'm going to say it again, Paul. This is my PSA to everybody. If you want to have a healthier life and not have your heart rate get to 600 tonight, don't watch the show. But I know you said this last week. You love being miserable, so you're going to watch.
Get ticked off and get
yes, you're going to throw things at your house.
Sure, with the nonsense that they spew and what comes out of Booger McFarland's mouth. Absolutely. So we'll see what transpires tonight. Mitch agrees with Felica. Mitch and the Bear bet Miami to make it.
I did.
You think common sense is going to prevail?
I think at the end of the day, when it's all said and over with, they're going to have to come to their senses and say, this is going to set a bad precedent. And I know it's that brand name of Notre Dame, but they lost to Miami head-to-head, and there's no way we could justify having them, at the end of the season now. The whole thing's played out. Regular season and the title games. Miami with that head-to-head win has to be in ahead of Notre Dame. I took plus 550 today.
Wow. All right. I hope you're right.
They did that, for the record, they did it back in 20. Now, these are not the same kind of brand name schools here, but in 2014, TCU was ranked 3rd with a head-to-head loss to Baylor going into the final rankings in the final weekend. And TCU won their game 55-3. And not only did they drop them out of the top 4 and put Ohio State in, they dropped them behind Baylor. And it's now a new committee. This is a new format that we're talking about. But also, Alabama announced that they are changing. They actually got out of a non-conference game with, I believe, South Florida. And Kirk Herbstreit tweeted out and said, this is what's going to happen to schedules moving forward. It is. And if I fully believe, and I've said that many times already this year on the show.
Interesting.
And if they leave Miami out with a head-to-head win against Notre Dame, I think that every school should, not that they will, but should say, I'm not going to play anybody other than Cupcakes ever again. Because it doesn't, clearly, this is now on the record. Here's the proof. It does us no good.
Yep. I hope that wins the day. Another positive that can come out of this, I am open, and I have no problem if the committee just picks conference champions based on these bozos and how there's a 5-way tie for second in the ACC.
Yeah.
They never thought to think of, let's just use the highest ranked team to get in.
Right.
And how Duke gets in here with 5 losses.
And
Come on, it's common sense.
I think the AAC did, right?
Yes, correct.
Yeah.
And NC State beat Virginia, but it wasn't a conference game. That's another reason Virginia's in. So this is just stupid.
God.
Chris Vanini. This isn't a Miami thing. Virginia didn't play Miami, Pitt, SMU, or Georgia Tech. The draw of your conference schedule has too big of an impact on the standings because they're too big. We don't know the best teams in a league anymore.
Right,
that's exactly right. How didn't they see this coming? 16, 17, 18 teams in a conference. And how you got a 5-way tie for second, and Miami isn't in your conference title game. Take over and just say, do what the Big Ten did during the COVID year. See, Miami's in. They're playing Saturday.
Yeah, right. I mean, think about that. The people in charge of the people who have the say and the layout, and they come up with the rules of the conferences, and they're in charge of this stuff. They never thought of the ACC. They never thought to put that in the rule book, where the team with the highest ranking per the committee should be a tiebreaker. Hence, Miami would actually be in the title game. They never thought about that.
No. When conference realignment happened and you got away from divisions, you had to have better tiebreakers in place because this is going to happen every year with 3, 4, 5-way ties. Come on, guys.
There's also a scenario, though, where the Miami thing, they could get left out over Notre Dame, and there's going to be an outrage across the country. But also, both teams could still miss, and I could lose the bet.
Yeah.
That can happen.
Yes, BYU beats Texas Tech.
Right.
Yeah, that is true. The only way to bet the Notre Dame is to know.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm with you on that. But this is just...
So we can get two group of 5 teams in?
Yes.
There's that possibility.
Yeah.
And Duke is now, you saw 40 to 1.
40.
They're down to
Offshore.
14 to 1 now at a lot of spots.
Well, that is just tinfoil hat guy. If Duke is ranked tonight, give me a break. If they suddenly appear in the top 25.
Actually, if they are ranked tonight, would you bet them at 14 to 1 to make the playoff?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. It also depends where James Madison is, but you're going to have
true.
James Madison's going to be 11-1, and you're going to have all of a sudden a 5-loss team show up. So they could get in if they win? Come on.
Yeah, we'll continue talking about this sport coming up next. Strong sound bites from a couple of head coaches, Steve Sarkisian, Dan Mullen out here. Great points that they brought up regarding the current landscape of college football. You'll hear it next.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
Right now, the best time of the year for bettors in the all-new Boomer Sportsbook, bringing you the action, football, hockey, basketball, and more. Use code VSiN250 when you sign up for a Boomers mobile account, and they'll match your first deposit up to $250 in bonus bets. $5 juice on all the NFL games. Download the Boomer Sportsbook app today. Learn more at betwithboomer.com. Got to be 21, betwithboomer.com. And the man who runs it is Nick Bogdanovich, our old friend. He joins us now on the Progressive Guest Line. Did you survive Saturday? How bad was it with all the teams that needed to win in college football? Not only did they win, they covered.
Yeah, Saturday was, it looked like a player's day, but we somehow survived. So I think the Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday can be an incredible run. You can blow a lot of money or make a lot of money. I would call it a wash. But yeah, no, those are my favorite 4 days of the year, other than obviously the first week of March Madness. Nothing tops that.
We've lived here 26 years. What was the year where favorites went 21-2 ATS in college during that stretch? You remember the year?
I don't. It was in the 90s somehow, but I know I ended up in the emergency room that after 4 days. That was a beating of all beatings. That was like Soprano type beatings.
Oh.
Where did you guys open up the Mountain West title game, UNLV taking on Boise? I know that there was one book that opened up UNLV nationally, a 1.5-point favorite, Nick.
I don't blame them. We opened Boise 3 and it went to 4. I hate to put the jinx on it, but I really like the Rebels in this game. I really do. I don't have many plays for the 8 games that or whatever there are this week, but definitely on the Rebels this week. I think this is, they finally got their defense straightened out. I'm not saying they're the 85 Bears by no means defensively, but, when they first took over, they got their coordinator at the very end, and they absolutely stunk for the first 5 or 6 weeks. Now they're at least respectable. And their offense is playing really, really well. They owe them one. They owe them more than one. They've been up there already. They're used to that turf. They'll be used to the crowd. I just think it sets up good for them. I really like the Rebels in this game. I know Boise's getting their quarterback back, but he's no great shakes to begin with.
Very good. I missed this last week. How about James Madison taking money and looking to run the score up against Troy, 23.5?
Yeah, that one kept going up. I remember they were laying 21 like it was going out of style, and it just went to 24. And J-Matt's just an incredible story. It really is. I mean, the coach leaves and they don't miss a beat. They just keep on rolling.
Mm-hmm.
The Rebel quarterback took all the money back there and he can't get on the field. So that tells you how talented they are.
Excellent. Texas Tech is 11-1 ATS. How about Tech in the rematch, laying 12.5 against BYU?
I'm sort of rooting for Texas Tech to win it all, just so a team that hasn't won it in so long or ever wins one. You know, I'm tired of Ohio State and Alabama, Georgia. I'd like to see some new blood win it. And of the new bloods, them in Indiana obviously got a big chance to do it. So I wouldn't mind seeing Texas Tech. The coach's story is incredible. Yeah, it would be a nice story. I'd love to see it. But, yeah, I don't think BYU – I'm a big BYU fan, but I just think they're a poor man's Texas Tech. You know, they're both really good defensively, but Texas Tech's defense is better. And BYU's okay offensively. I mean, they got the stud running back, but Texas Tech's offense is a little better. I think Texas Tech is slightly a little better coached, but hats off to BYU. They had an amazing, amazing year.
Hey, Nick, what do you think about Kennesaw, by the way? They're playing on Friday. That's 7 o'clock Eastern time. They take on Jacksonville State, and they were an absolute bomb to win this conference preseason, at least 100-1, and now they're a 2.5-point favorite in this game coming up on Friday night.
Yeah, they drew money. We opened the other side 1, and they blew to Kennesaw 2.5. So I got no real opinion on the game. I made a dead pick 'em, but the sharp money is definitely all on Kennesaw. It would be a good story. I hope there's some people out there with 100-1 tickets. I love to hear about that.
What do you do with Ole Miss's power rating now that Kiffin has left?
I didn't do anything with it. I should raise it because what an a-hole he is. You know, I mean, it's one thing. If you want to go, that's fine. Take the money, run, do whatever you got to do. But don't tell them you want to coach these kids when you're saying, I'm out of here. I'm going to LSU because I can win a national championship at LSU and I can't at Ole Miss. So I'm glad the AD told him to hit the road. I know some of the kids might have wanted him to play, but those guys are vagabonds anyway. You know, they come and go. Mm-hmm. You hardly ever see anyone who stays all 4 years anymore. So I'm glad he didn't get a coach, and I'm glad the story's over with. He was nauseating me.
Totally agree. So is there a reason why you didn't downgrade maybe Ole Miss? He is the head coach, obviously, and the play caller. Is it because now we're at the end of the season?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the defensive coordinator, he's going to get the job. Even though he called all the plays, there's still an offensive coordinator. There'll be some cohesion. And it's 13 games into the season. These kids are, you know, I think the kids will be more than ever excited. I mean, you can only get so excited to play in the playoffs. You can only try so hard and be so up. So I think Ole Miss will be fine. And I love Chambliss. I think he can make enough plays to they'll be a tough out.
The OC will coach. That's the good news they got today that came out. How did you lose in the NFL? How'd they beat you up Sunday?
I try to forget about it, but what was the big game on that we lost? The late Sunday, just the Sunday, the 3 Sunday afternoon games. The Buffalo, the Chargers, and the other favorite that rolled by 1,000, Seattle.
Yeah.
That's what did it. I mean, the morning was okay, but I mean, the bang, bang, bang in the afternoon was no good.
Okay. A couple more I want to throw at you in college football. How about this Ohio State, Indiana number now? That was as high as 6. And I know that you guys have it 4.5 right now. There's actually a 4 in the market on Ohio State. How about this money on Indiana?
Yeah, I can see it. You know, I don't know what you give them for home at Indy. If you give them anything, maybe a half. I would like to see a venue with more Hoosier fans than Buckeye fans, but that's probably impossible. But man, oh man, yeah, you look at Indiana. I think that Indiana catches a break that Ohio State is coming off of a Michigan game. I mean, so physical, so draining. It's got to just take a touch out of you. I mean, in Indiana had obviously Purdue, which me, you, and 9 guys sitting in a Circus sports book could beat Purdue. So it was just a little scrimmage. But, yeah, I really think that's a big factor, them coming off of a Michigan. And Indiana's not afraid of them. They got a quarterback that can make plays. You know, you look at Indiana's games, it's amazing. I mean, I can understand why there was money for the Hoosiers.
Did you make the Georgia-Alabama number pretty much where it is right now at 2.5 in favor of the Bulldogs? This is a rematch from a regular season game that Alabama won, by the way, in Athens, 24-21. Bama scored all 24 points in the first half. They were shut out in the second half, Nick.
Yeah, I made a dead pick. But I've been horrible with Georgia all year. I've struggled with them. To me, they don't look as good as past Georgia teams. They just don't. The eye test. Maybe they are because they're in the SEC championship game, so obviously they're good. And I don't even know what to make of Stockton. I guess he's good, but I don't know. I've had a tough time getting the handle on Georgia all year long. But the number I made on the game was picked, but I don't even know if I'd be interested in Alabama 3. I don't have a feel for Georgia whatsoever.
Okay, very good. Nick, as always, thanks so much for the time. We appreciate it. Have a good week.
Guys, it's great seeing you again.
Back at you.
You're the man.
Go. Nick Bogdanovich, sports betting Hall of Famer and a longtime Vegas odds maker, now at Boomer Sportsbook here in town.
BetWithBoomer.com, code VSiN250. They'll match your first deposit up to $250 in bonus bets. $5 juice on the NFL games. BetWithBoomer.com.
Did you bet that game yet, Georgia-Bama?
Nah, no opinion.
I got Georgia money line in that one. How about that, by the way? Nick with his favorite game is UNLV plus the points. Boise went off as a double-digit favorite when they played this year, and they killed them.
I know.
And
it never goes well for them there either.
No.
Yeah.
It does not.
They have had their number.
But also...
But that's true. It's what you said. I mean, they're laying 14 in the first game and pound them, and now they got the rematch at home, and they're only 4, but the quarterback's back still.
Yeah, that's right. But I also think that Boise's just not that great.
Well, they had a disappointing year.
They really did. And maybe maybe he's on something, or maybe UNLV's defense figured it out in the last couple of weeks. It's also Boise now that they're going against, so I don't know. Any interest in taking the 4 there?
No.
I can't do it.
No. And the Big Ten game's tough, too. That's a tough handicap. Maybe under in that game, but I think that could decide the Heisman. If someone goes, what if it's an ugly game? Pavia can do this.
I got this note from an offshore book. After a flurry of wagering during the past 24 hours, they moved Pavia to a plus 150 short shot on the board to win it. I would guess that if either Mendoza or Sane, if they're absolutely lights out in the game,
yes, there it is.
They're probably going to be the winner. But what if it's a low-scoring game and neither guy does much?
Yeah.
Doesn't Pavia have an incredible case?
Got a good case.
Yeah.
The love stuff stopped, thank God.
Yeah, well, had to after that game.
Yeah.
Win-lose up next, and I'm going to throw some Super Bowl exactas at Paulie with some huge numbers to see what he thinks coming up here on Follow the Money. It's VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
A lot of college football on today's program. That continues here as professional sports bettor Paul Stone joins the program, as he has every single Tuesday at this time, and he is on the Progressive guest line. Mr. Stone, good to talk to you again. Hope you had a great Thanksgiving. How are things?
Doing well, man. I'll tell you, Mitch, it's amazing. We were talking off air how quickly the season goes. I mean, we had week 0, I believe, back on August 23rd, and the first full week on August 30th. Seems like it was just yesterday, and here we are almost 3.5 months later.
No kidding. Yeah. All right, let's begin in the Big Ten title game. I think some books open this one up. Ohio State 6 against Indiana. The lowest number I see on the screen now, Paul, is Ohio State -4. That's here at Circa. There are other numbers out there like 4.5 and 5. Who do you like in this game?
I tell you, Circa actually on Sunday, Mitch opened this game at 6. And it's down to 4 there at Circa, so they've clearly taken some Indiana money. I'll first of all start by offering this opinion. I believe there's still, even though both these teams have completed a perfect, flawless 12-0 regular season, I still think we have a little bit of mystery about just who exactly these teams are, even at this deep point in the season. And a lot of it has to do with their schedules. I mean, they have played and conquered those teams put in front of them, but Ohio State's schedule at this point, the 37th toughest in the nation, according to Jeff Sagarin. Indiana's schedule coming in at number 56. But Ohio State, under their victory over Texas by 7 points, 14-7, No other opponent besides Texas has played them within 18 points, any closer than 18 points. And those teams did that on their home field. Washington, back in the earlier part of the season, lost at home at Husky Stadium by 18. Then Michigan this past Saturday loses to the Buckeyes by 18. But, they're good. And certainly part of the margin of victory that Ohio State's established this year is based on how good they are on both sides of the ball, but especially that defense. They allow 8.5 points per game, only 206 yards a game, only 3.7 yards per play. They lead the nation in all three of those key defensive statistical categories. I would say they're arguably the best defense in the country, but I think it's inarguably, that they are the top defense. The Buckeyes, though, to be fair, getting back to my original point, they avoided most or much of the league's upper echelon. They didn't play Oregon, didn't play USC, didn't play Iowa. Obviously, Indiana and Ohio State have not played this season either. So it's kind of hard to know exactly who they are. In this game, looking at making the number, I make numbers on all the games, and I really thought these teams were kind of equal. I made Ohio State -2.5, and a lot of that was based on the fact they're the defending national champion. They're a massive brand. They have such a long, rich history, but I thought these teams on the field were pretty much even. But not the case. I missed on this. Again, Circa opens it at 6, but I think this is going to be a 4-quarter football game. I think it's going to come down to the final possession, perhaps. We have seen, I like to measure how are teams on the road, and we saw Indiana go to Autzen Stadium in October and defeat the Ducks 30-20. They maybe didn't dominate the Ducks, but they were clearly the best team on that day. And I'll add one other nugget before I close. I think this game maybe carries a little bit more meaning for Indiana. I mean, what would it mean to the Indiana Hoosiers to defeat Ohio State Saturday night and be the Big Ten champions? On the other hand, Ohio State's the defending champion. If they lose to Indiana on Saturday night, they're still the only team with a chance to be the 2-time defending champion. Mm-hmm. So I think Indiana might be a little bit more pumped up. Not that Ohio State won't, but give me Indiana +5 over the Buckeyes.
4 games on Friday night. You like 2 of them. We talked about this earlier. This never goes well for UNLV when they play Boise, especially on the Smurf turf. What do you think of Boise up to 4 now with the news Madsen, the quarterback, is back?
And that's the news, the availability of Maddox Madsen. He's missed the entirety of Boise's last 3 games, missed most of the previous games. So he's essentially been out for their last 4 games. And they didn't perform well in those 4 games with their backup quarterback. Maddox Madsen might not be. He's not the all-conference quarterback. That probably goes to Calandria, UNLV's quarterback, in fact. But they're certainly much better offensively with Maddox Madsen under center. And it's almost like this line. It was 3.5, I believe, maybe even 3 at the opener. It almost it's almost as if the line maker used a season-long power rating with Boise State and didn't really factor in the fact that Madsen would be the starting quarterback. So I think that might be the case here. These teams played a month and a half ago on the same stage, Albertson Stadium there in Boise. Boise won that game 56-31 as a 13-point favorite. They closed, and now they're only laying 4. Boise's won 10 in a row in this series. The closest of those being a 5-point decision last year in the regular season meeting at Allegiant Stadium is only a 4-point favorite. I think Boise makes it 11 in a row until I see something different. I'm going to take Boise over UNLV. I like the Broncos -4 over the Rebels.
I'm kind of right there with you, Paul. Everything that you just said makes a lot of sense to me and worth a bet, I think, on Boise State. How about, again, that same night, Conference USA? Are you expecting fireworks here in this title game?
I'll say to start with, just kind of a little bit, not a disclaimer necessarily, but keep an eye on the weather report. We're still 3 days out. That game's Friday night in Jacksonville, Alabama, not to be confused with Jacksonville, Florida. And looking at the weather forecast before I came on, Friday during the day, 80% chance of rain in Jacksonville, Alabama, but only 40% at night. So keep an eye on that forecast. Those forecasts can certainly be fickle when we're talking about 3 days out. So look at the rain. But the first meeting between these teams, a lot of offensive fireworks, Mitch. These teams combined for over 1,000 total yards offense. Jacksonville State actually won the game 35-26. Kennesaw State in the game, 579 yards on 90 plays. Jacksonville State, 451 yards on just 56 plays. The teams combined to average over 7 yards a play. So there was tons of offense in this game. Kennesaw State, again, they only scored 26, but they really could have scored more if not for 4 interceptions. And 3 of those interceptions by Kennesaw State came deep in Jacksonville State's territory. On 2 of the interceptions, their starting position was the Jacksonville 23-yard line. On a 3rd interception, it was 3rd and goal from the Jacksonville State 4. So without those interceptions, they would have scored even more points. These teams in that first meeting, very important when you're looking at totals to try to determine the number of plays potentially. They combined for 146 offensive plays in their first meeting. A formula that I use calls for a few more plays this time around, 149 plays. These teams have played high-scoring games all year. Jacksonville State, 8-3 to the over versus FBS opponents this year. Kennesaw State, they got off to a slow start offensively early in the year. Some of it had to do with the higher quality of opposition that they were playing, but in their first 5 games of the year, they only averaged 19.4 points per game. In their last 7, Kennesaw State averaging 36 points per game. These teams, they run the ball a lot, but they play really fast. They don't let the play clock get down to 15 hardly. They're running play after play. Going to be a fast-paced game. Without some inclement weather, I think there's going to be a lot of points again. I like the over 59.5 Conference USA Championship game between Kennesaw State and Jacksonville State.
2 minutes left, Paul. It's a big night tonight with the committee rankings. First question, what do you do to Ole Miss's power rating without Kiffin in a playoff game?
You know, I've heard people compare it to Florida State 2 years ago when they lost Jordan Travis to injury. And I'll make a couple of points on that first very quickly. Jordan Travis is a player. You know, he wasn't a coach, and he was the most critical player on the field at the quarterback position. So he had a tremendous impact on the game. And we saw his backup play a couple of games, and their offense was nowhere near the same. So the committee, in my opinion, the committee's decision, I know many will disagree and disagree vehemently, but their decision was cut and dry on that. We really don't know exactly how this is going to impact Ole Miss. We saw Ole Miss against Mississippi State in the Egg Bowl with Kiffin on the sideline. He obviously won't be on the sideline in their next game, but it's kind of a crapshoot to take a stab at it. But I lowered them by 2 points. We'll see how they play in that first playoff game against whomever it is. Granted, they do indeed get selected as an at-large in the playoff tournament.
Okay, and what would you make Indiana, Miami on a neutral?
You know, you reference your power ratings on these things, Paulie, and you kind of come up with the range, first of all. Okay. And I'm kind of like, even though I don't cook, you know, I kind of warm things up. I don't really cook. But if I was a cook, if I was a chef like Mitch's wife, I would do it by feel. I would do it by taste. I wouldn't so much be, you know, married to a recipe. I would kind of taste it and that type of thing. And I said, it's got to be higher than 4, but it's going to be less than 7. At first, I was going to center it in the middle at 5.5, but I decided to shade it a little bit closer to 4. I would make this game Indiana -5 against Miami, Florida.
You can follow him on X at Paul Stone Sports. Thanks, pal. Best of luck this weekend.
Same to you guys. Have a great weekend.
Back at you.
Great job.
We'll go inside our pizzeria up next. Long shot bets that would pay off quite handsomely.
Follow the money. That's what I always say. You always follow the money. Yeah.
This is Follow the Money with Mitch Moss and Paulie Howard on VSiN.
Welcome in. Good to have you on board. Thanks for watching today on YouTube TV, listening on SiriusXM channel 158, iHeartRadio, TuneIn Radio, or any of our great affiliates across the country. In this hour, Derek Stevens is going to join the program. He's the owner and the CEO of this great property. What a weekend it was. The bedlam that finally arrived in Survivor contests. And we'll get to our best bets as well. We are expecting to connect here with Adam Chernoff, longtime friend of the show. For those of you here listening live, watching live in the afternoons, Adam Haven't heard from Adam in a while. You might be like, who? Hasn't been on the show. He was on with us for, 5-6 years, every week during the football season when we did mornings here, and loved getting the analysis from him. Anyway, he was a part of one of the entries that won Circa Grandissimo this past weekend, and 6 entries did. They split $6.9 million, so everybody there combined to take home $1.15 million. And Adam does join us right now, and he is on the Progressive guest line. Good to talk to you again, pal. How are you?
It's good to see you guys. It's good to talk with you guys. Let's hope the internet holds. We're finally back at it and clear of everything. It's been a weird year, but nice to be back seeing you guys on air.
Yeah, I haven't talked to you in a long time. Okay, so take us through this then. You actually were part of one of the entries that won Grandissimo, and you eventually split the $6.9 million. That is correct? Don't know if we can do it or not.
Damn.
He might be in a spot that's a little too dicey with the internet. Damn it. Adam told me, I want to go back 2 or 3 weeks ago, that when it got down to, was it 8?
Yes.
He told me then that they kickstarted a conversation about a chop. And there was at least one individual, if not 2, on a different entry that said, go bleep yourself. And that's when they were like, okay, that's not going to be a possibility. It looks like we're going to have to win the whole thing. And then the way it turned out is that 3 people had Baltimore left. They all used them, and they lost on Thanksgiving night. The other 3 people had Philadelphia lost, and you know how that went. So here you are at the end of the whole thing now. 6 people split it.
So at that point, you decide to hit the eject button, get out of this.
Mm-hmm.
Not to mention with your plan was, I believe, to use Baltimore, but then the Burrow stuff happened. So that hurt you a little bit. And then it was apparent that it won maybe 2 people. No way, no how we're going to chop.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Tupac, I want the money, bleep the fame. I'm a simple man. I mean, this guy wanted all the prestige, and I just want to win. It's incredible. Like our friend Baxter said yesterday, these poker guys can be weird. Some of this stuff.
Called them weirdos about 5 different times, I think.
Yeah. But, I always think you take some money off the table. But if you're talking about $6.9 million and there's only 3 of you left, you're not going to decide to whack it up or do it just all or nothing? Okay. But it appears that was going to happen, and there was no way around it. So he decided to hit the eject button, get out, and then how it fell, where everyone was eliminated on Thanksgiving and Black Friday, and then 6 people go with $1.1 million.
So Derek's going to join us coming up, again, bottom of the hour here. Imagine if, think if Circa was available like in 30 states, right? Or if you could sign up in any of the other states where Circa is at. Because they're in 5, now 6 with Missouri, but you have to come out here to sign up. That's just the way that the national laws work. So I think that Grandissimo could eventually, who knows how big that could get, because you never know how much money people have and would be interested in that. But that one person who on the documentary this past year who said might get, 100,000, more than that, people in it. If you could open this up in the state of Illinois, for example, and you get everybody from Chicago, right? Because Derek advertises the daylights out of this as well. This thing might get to 30, 40, 50,000 people before you know it and be that big. And at some point, like, you are going to get the chaos like we had on Thursday and Friday, or they can also throw in another wrinkle if they wanted to, where at some point you got to use 2 different teams. Because it's, put it this way, of the people remaining so far in Circa Survivor, they have hit a 14-team moneyline parlay already.
Mm-hmm.
And they're not even close to getting to the finish line. They have to hit 6 more games. And you have to effectively hit, if you want to have any chance of winning this thing, in your mind, you have to be thinking, I need to hit a 20-team moneyline parlay.
And Christmas is a mess.
Absolutely it is.
Will the Lions even be in it? Will they be eliminated? Yes, Minnesota's bad. Who has Detroit left? Do you trust the Cowboys on the road? Washington playing hard. Daniels could be back. And then how do you play the Denver-Kansas City game? Who has Kansas City left? And they could be eliminated too.
And I'll tell you this.
You got to play one of those games.
Right. Unless Detroit goes back to the team that they were forever,
You're right.
and they're a disaster, or that happens to the Cowboys because they get the annual game, obviously, on Thanksgiving. When Warren Sharp joined us on Sunday on the Tailgate Show, he was saying this is a Roger Goodell special, right? Where he scheduled marquee games across the board on Thursday, and then on Friday, even though the Eagles were a 7-point favorite, the Bears they're on the come, and they're a national team, obviously. I'm guessing moving forward, he's not going to put any bombs or stink bombs on Thanksgiving or Black Friday. You're not going to be able to fade a Tennessee or a Las Vegas or any of these garbage teams. It's going to be 8 of the better teams in the league playing every single year because he wants the ratings and he wants the grab. And the rest of that week is going to be a bunch of junk like we had on Sunday. So Thursday is always going to be difficult, and he's going to do the same exact thing. You think he's going to put teams with win totals of 4.5 against each other on Christmas Day? Of course not. He's going to put teams with a lot of hype and potential playoff / conference winning teams on Christmas every single year. And as he proved last year, they're going to play on Wednesdays, and they're going to make it a triple header.
Yep.
So it's always going to be a thing. Now, are you going to get the 4 upsets again? Very unlikely.
It's only happened 3 times.
Yep.
3 times since 1990, I think it is. So,
Okay, I think we have Adam right now on the phone. Okay, so yeah, take us through this now. You were a part of the one of the entries that won the whole thing for $100,000 entry?
Yeah, I was. So I was a smaller piece of that team, and we had a good run through it. We were in a pretty good spot, but honestly, once the week 10 Buffalo lost to Miami, and we had the big shakeup there, I thought there was going to be a split when it got to 6 teams remaining, because that was more than $1 million per team.
Yeah.
And it became very clear at that point there were 2 teams that had no interest whatsoever in splitting. I think there were probably at least one more that would have been in that camp, and very different motives. But also, I think what was important was to run out with the teams that were left. The difference between best and worst was really, really tight as well. And so it ended in a pretty spectacular fashion, but it was a very, very unique group of 6 teams left, and it was a very fun contest.
Who did that favor if there was no chop, and who had the best path?
Our team was about 0.5% better to illustrate how tight it was to run out. But what was interesting was one team had a couple unique options in week 15 and week 16. We were in a decent spot where we had chalk most of the way, but there was another team as well that had that too. And so what looked like in week 7, 8, 9, a very high probability of just one team winning everything, I didn't get the impression that it was one team taking it at the end. And so once the Burrow news came out, that really changed a lot of the contest.
Yeah. Okay. And at that point was when you said, I need to bail a little bit here and sell a little bit of the piece that I have?
Yeah, because we were banking on Baltimore on Thanksgiving week as the team that we were saving. And so the way that was looking initially, Burrow wasn't reported back till mid-December initially.
Yeah.
And once that came out right around week 10 that he was going to be potentially returning for Thanksgiving, I looked at that as kind of like, oh boy, that's the spot where Cincinnati gets up. I mean, that was their Super Bowl game, and we saw that play through on Thursday night. I mean, that was as good of an effort we've seen from that team all season.
Do you have any opinions now on any futures and what to make of this wild season with 2 minutes left here?
Wild season is a light way to put it. Wish we had more time. I'm sorry about the internet here in South America. It's a little patchy for live streaming, but I'm holding steady. In April, when I was on with you guys, Rams, Bills, Super Bowl, I'm still holding on to that. I think the Bills are now at a point where they're underrated, especially this week, just 5.5-point favorites against the Bengals. They're very dependent on the defense they face, but we're going to see them figure that out. And I think the Rams with Stafford as MVP are playing at a different level in the NFC. I think that's a loaded team that is all in like they were a few seasons ago with how that defense has come around. And so I'm still holding on to that at exactas at 50 and 60 to 1. I'm still looking at those two as the teams to beat in each conference.
Interesting.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
You mentioned Stafford MVP. It's down to 2 guys, I would think, right? May is now the short shot, but that's going to change again this week because he's on a bye, and Stafford's probably going to light up the Cardinals.
I think so too. I'm looking at Stafford as has the option to win it. I get Mays the surprise option, and the Patriots are going to finish very well and exceed expectations. But I still think Stafford's MVP, and that shifted so much after this last game. But we're going to see the Pats with a couple tough games coming up as well. So perception there could change in the next 2.5 weeks.
All right, pal.
Yes.
Enjoy your time in South America. I guess you have to come to Circa in person and cash out pretty soon, though, huh?
Yeah, it sounds like January, late playoffs is the time we're meeting up and everyone's coming together. So I'll be sure to see you guys. But with things sorted out in life, I can jump back on with you guys another time here now the rest of the season. So I look forward to chatting NFL if you guys have the space.
Very good.
Thank
you go
you.
to his website, by the way, adamchernoff.com, and sign up for his newsletter as well. Thanks, Adam. We appreciate it.
Thanks, guys.
Congrats.
Yeah, no kidding. Nice score.
That's a hell of a Super Bowl, too. I wouldn't have a problem with that.
All right, that'd be a good one. We'll hit a little NBA, and scoring is up almost 6 points per game in college basketball. We'll give you some of the numbers that tell the story coming up next here on VSiN.